Tonight, a conversation with two of the most successful authors on both sides of the Atlantic, Elmore Leonard and Martin Amis. Each is known for inventive plot lines and a razor-sharp wit. One explores the underbelly of respected society. The other shows the mundane side of people living on the edge. We began with Elmore Leonard. He has written 35 novels, many of which have been turned into movies, including Out of Sight and Rum Punch. His new novel marks the return of Chili Palmer, the Brooklyn con artist turned Hollywood producer in Get Shorty. This time, Chili's trying to capture the music business on film. The book is called Be Cool, which almost describes Elmore Leonard. I'm pleased to have you here, my friend.
Thank you, Charlie.
Welcome back. Now, it is also, you just told me, the chapters are in Coca-Cola, or what?
This is a Diet Coke promotion.
Oh, I see.
And there are six of us, and we are each, there's a little sample with the cover of the book in one chapter in I think, 50 million cartons of Coca-Cola.
So if I read the whole book, I could probably find it somewhere in some Coke, right?
Well, if you would find just the chapter.
Oh, just one chapter?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And but it's indicated on the case who's on there,
yeah.
Whether it's me or one of 5 other writers.
Now, why are we going back to our pal Chili Palmer?
MGM wanted a sequel immediately.
Oh, I see.
My publisher said, what about the music business? And I thought, well, why not? Because I like the character, and I know I can push him around, make him work. Yeah. And so, but I did after Get Shorty, I did 2 other novels before getting into this one.
Now, let me just get this straight. You're writing this because the movie people wanted you to write another Get Shorty type book that they could turn into a movie.
Mm-hmm. It's shamelessly aimed at the movies. It's about the movies.
I get the impression here you're writing for money, not for art?
Oh, no, there's plenty of art in there. There's plenty of my art. But it's about making a movie. And he wanders into the music business as to managing a rock band.
How do you rate him among your characters, Chili?
I think he's is interesting, more interesting. Well, he's certainly more visual now than most. You know, George Clooney did a good job. In,
Out of Sight. That was a terrific movie.
Yeah.
Didn't you think so?
Yes, that worked.
Worked?
Yeah,
it was first rate.
Very good, yeah.
Who was the director that did that?
Steven Soderbergh.
Steven Soderbergh, yeah.
And then Quentin Tarantino did Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
I thought that was
good.
Very good, close. Yeah.
So good directors come and do your work.
So I've been lucky lately. Yeah, very.
Yeah. No, but Out of Sight was really good. I thought that.
Yeah.
I mean, it got some good notices, and also I think one of the critics associations gave it Best Picture, Best Director award.
Best Picture, Director, and Screenplay, and Scott Frank is up for an Oscar for Out of Sight, for also. Yeah.
Chili. For those who didn't read Get Shorty, what kind of character is he?
Chili Palmer is a very confident guy and would have you believe that he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He can put that across. Yeah. And sometimes he does know what he's talking about.
And sometimes?
And sometimes, it doesn't matter. But I just have fun with the character, and especially in this milieu, in this music business where it's known that there at least were, people connected to the mob who were promoting records, you know, that Chili, once I learned that, I thought, this is perfect, because Chili's going to run into some old friends.
He'll know somebody there.
Yeah. And they'll know him. But he's trying to make him, all he wants to do is make another movie, because he made one that was a success, Get Leo, which was really Get Shorty. Yeah. Then he made one called Get Lost, against his better judgment, because it was an amnesia movie. He said an amnesia movie, that's what you do when you don't have an idea.
When you do these, like Be Cool, do you have to do any research, or is it just there for you?
Oh, that required a lot of research.
Well, like what do we do?
The music business.
Okay,
we
went to the library, or we had our researchers go to the library?
We roamed around through L.A. talking to a list of people who were in the business, people who ran record companies, who managed stars, who promoted records. I sat for 2 hours with a record promoter across his desk while he was on the phone talking to program directors and his people out in the field. And it's in the book.
What's the most interesting thing you learned about the music business? Interesting.
Well, the most interesting thing. Well, I think the musicians are the most interesting thing.
The stars.
Yeah, yeah, and the ones I got to know Aerosmith, for example, and
yeah.
I had him over at the house,
right,
and sat around and talked about Be Cool because I was still writing it then, and I asked them, "Do you want to be in the book?" And they said, "Sure." So I had my band in the book open for them at the Forum in L.A. So
yeah.
then there's a little scene where they all sit around, chat.
How about rap? Did you get into that?
I wrote a rap song that's in there. It's in one of the last scenes.
You wrote this song?
Yes.
Can you give me a little bit of it?
It's called "SWAT Man Coming." Oh, oh.
Can you give me a few lines?
Well,
SWAT man coming.
I wouldn't on the air. No. Maybe tonight at the Mercury Lounge. I'm performing with the band.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I read, and then they play. So I wouldn't dare do anything else but read.
Now, what's more interesting to you, the movie business or the music business?
The movie business. Well, there's just more to it. I mean, I'm closer to it. But I would rather certainly write a book than I would a movie. I don't write movies anymore because it's work. You know, you're an employee working for a lot of people.
What writers have taught you the most about writing?
Two. First, Ernest Hemingway, until I realized that I didn't share his attitude about much of anything, but he sure knew how to construct a scene and get people talking. And then, when I realized that he didn't have a sense of humor, I turned to Richard Bissell. Richard Bissell wrote 7.5 Cents that became The Pajama Game, the musical. And Bissell set stories on the Mississippi River. He himself was a pilot, towboat pilot on the Mississippi. And I read several of his books, and his people were so naturally funny without trying to be funny, and that's exactly what I wanted to achieve, see.
Who taught you dialogue?
Maybe reading John O'Hara very closely, or any number of writers, but it's just the way I like to write. It's, for example, I don't have Martin Amos's language. I can't write from my point of view with my voice the way he does, because he can write about anything. So I have to use my characters. I have to use their points of view, their voices. And that way I get into a lot of dialogue.
Whereas Amos does what?
He writes as most often the omniscient author who knows everything, and I don't know everything. I know very little.
Well, the best writers have always done that in part.
Well, that's the classic way
that's what
to
makes
write.
a great literary figure. They know so much about everything, and they can refer to it and weave it into a great literary style.
Well, and Martin has the language. He has language. He has the words.
But tell us what you mean other than vocabulary.
I don't mean anything other than vocabulary, but the right word, the way they're put together, of course, the structure of it, not just. He has voices, several different voices that he uses. He can write in different styles. He can write nonfiction. He can write essays. He can write a wonderful piece on tennis. You know.
That's because he plays tennis like a madman.
Yeah. And
he has almost as much passion for tennis as he does for anything.
He's the complete writer. I have only one way of writing, and that's that's what satisfies me the most anyway, and that is to do it dramatically in scenes, with always from the character's point of view, and always moving it along with as much dialogue as possible, getting them to talk. It's how they talk that identifies my characters, not what they look like or where they're from necessarily, although where they're from does indicate, how they talk indicates where they're from, of course.
You must then have a great ear.
Well, I don't know. Certainly you can hear right now, for example, a certain type of person talking.
Right.
And then you just write it down. That's all you do.
I mean, if that was true, we'd have a lot more Elmore Leonards than we do, and we only have one.
Thank God.
Why don't we bring Martin Amis out here and then have a little dialogue with Martin Amis, since you've said these nice things about you and about him, and see if he has anything nice to say about you.
Oh, all right.
All right, Martin, come on out here, and we'll come back in just a moment.